Today we're launching the next stage of our food waste campaign to try and encourage Scots to produce less food waste and of course for what food waste they do produce to recycle more of it, and that's why the government's devoting a lot of energy and resources working with our local councils around Scotland to roll out food waste collections. Now a million homes in Scotland have a food waste collection, and a couple of years ago very few houses had a food waste collection, and that means that the food collected can be recycled, turned into green energy or compost, and not simply go into landfill where it produces harmful greenhouse gas emissions. And of course we're also just trying to get a few simple tips across to householders to help themselves save some cash and not buy food they don't need. So perhaps take a list with you, a shopping list before you go to the shop, so you don't buy too much food in the spur of the moment you don't actually need or use. Or perhaps just keep some of your leftovers in the freezer or the fridge to use again. So we're just trying to encourage people to think more about the food waste they produce so we can produce less of it or recycle more of what we do produce.
Some really easy things you can do to save money and reduce food waste at home. The first thing I'll probably start with is just think about, before you go shopping, do a little plan. Write a list, have a look in your cupboards, in your fridge, see what you have. Perhaps think about what you're going to eat that week and only buy what you need. And then once you've cooked it, and if you don't use it, think about maybe freezing a portion for another time, or indeed using it for lunch the next day. So just making your food go a bit longer, that's a really good place to start, just to plan your meals a bit better. It's something we can all do.
But it hasn't been too difficult for us. I mean, you do have to change kind of the way that you shop and the way, before you might have really looked for all the kind of big deals, but, a lot of the time those things would end up going into the bin anyway because you'd be getting too much of something. So, yeah, I think we just have to change our mindset a little bit about how we shop. But apart from that, it's just...
and freezing things as well.
Yeah.
If we make something that would maybe last a couple of days, plus we put the rest in the freezer. So I think that's a good that's saved us a bit of money by doing that too.
So I'm lucky enough to live in an area where there are food waste collections, and I've got my little kitchen caddy where I put my food waste into at home. And of course, when I realise just how much food we're wasting as a society and the cost of that to the environment as well as to our household budgets, I'm trying to play my bit at home to cut down the amount of food waste I produce, and I think a bit more carefully when I go to the shops as well. And of course, if everyone did that in Scotland, then we'd cut down the amount of food waste we do produce and would recycle more of what we do produce as well.
We waste about 630,000 tonnes a year from Scottish homes, so that works out an average £470 a year that we could have used for something much nicer than just throwing it in the bin.